we've seen like Title IX play out, and now I believe if my facts are right that there are more women enrolled in colleges than there are men. So Title
Yeah.
IX that wasn't struck down in any way, but I guess I'm asking, how can we get to a point where we see just as many black people, people of color, in universities as we do white people?
Yeah, one of the things that we do poorly as a nation, including the nation's colleges and universities, we often fail to learn from legislative wins like Title IX. There are so many things that colleges, universities, government agencies, and corporations have done under the guise of Title IX that are totally scalable, adaptable, and replicable for higher education institutions in a post affirmative action era. So, in short, what I'm saying is that we really ought to learn from the best of, 50 years of Title IX legislation and, really, again, attempt to scale and adapt and implement those things within the parameters that the Supreme Court has set for affirmative action.
See, with Title IX, I was learning about that in what, elementary school, middle school. How can we reach down as a country and start looking at the foundation, the education foundation, not just it being, what side of the tracks were did you grow up on, and that determines the type of education you receive. That's where it starts. Now, how can we help
That is
with
where
that?
it is. Yeah. And it's a really important acknowledgement that um, given the ways that race and socioeconomic status commingle in the United States, it is an irrefutable fact that Black students and Latinx students and Pacific Islander students and Indigenous students are schooled in environments that are structurally inequitable. That is a fact. But one of the things that I want to celebrate, right, I think this is also an important acknowledgement. So I wrote the first piece um, in which I offered those predictions about the impact of the Supreme Court ruling. It went live on Forbes.com within an hour of the decision being released. Well, a couple days later, I wrote a piece in which I dispelled the myth that these unqualified students of color are being admitted to colleges and universities and that they're being placed at a disadvantage because they can't do the work. The way that I dispelled that myth was with data. Facts matter. Some of those facts: Black students, undergraduates at Harvard and Princeton graduate at rates higher than students overall at Harvard and Princeton. The number at Yale is exactly equal for Black students and students overall. And Harvard, Yale, and Princeton are not the only three institutions where that is the case. I name several others in that second Forbes article, right? The point here is that as we're thinking about structural inequities, it is important to acknowledge that students of color, even those who were schooled in inequitable environments, when they're given the chance at an opportunity for higher education at one of these highly selective institutions, they can and do succeed, sometimes at rates even higher than their white peers and students overall. I think it's just a really important acknowledgement.